Okay, here we go. We'll give it a shot. This is kind of hard to do because every couple of seconds I get a message on the top of my phone right about there. It says some dude named LC is sending me another message. Okay, here we go. We have our trusty dusty timing kit. I'm going to try to do this while staring into a lens. Well, the screen. What a trip. Okay, that washer, this is how we're going to get our top dead center. You're going to see that in just a second. It's going to be boring watching all this. I could have had this all set up, but then you'd ask me how to take the nut off of that bolt. And I'd have to try to explain it to you. Okay, so here's the deal. This, like I told you, this thing here is just dandy because it just happens to fit that nut. Just spectacular. We're going to put that on here, and we're going to put the nut on there, and it's going to center it up real nice for us. And I'm going to move the piston up kind of sort of near the top. This is just a junky motor head. Grabbed a bunch of spare parts and rammed it together for you. And I'm going to run my zero kind of sort of around to the side there, and that's not very close. You'll see why all this matters in a minute. Okay. Anyway, what I've done for my particular setup is I've brought that piston more or less up to the top. You can see it lifting the liner there, so somewhere around there. You can see my zero. Ooh, it's hard to do looking at this. It's kind of in line here, and that's going to matter here in just a second. We're going to put this thing on now. Slide those out. It goes underneath. Again, this is just my setup. You can create a pointer however you want. But at some point you have to do this while looking into the screen of your camera so that I can laugh at you while you try to do it. Okay? And these go clockwise, just so you know. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. You should write that down. Alright. Do you want me to wait while you write that down? Oh, you got it? All right. Okay, we're going to snug this up. This is going to be our pointer. And I'm going to tilt it a little bit so it's right out by the edge. Okay. And we're going to tighten that guy. See, everything happens slightly delayed on the screen, so it's really freaky. Okay, so there we go. See, now we can read degrees. And we want our zero to line up right at the top of that aluminum dealie. Okay? And that's how we're going to be able to read it, you know. So there's your 5, your 10, whatever, you know, before top dead center, after top dead center, you got to figure that stuff out on your own. I didn't tighten this nut down yet because we're going to establish our top dead center and get our pointer aligned. All right. So to do that, we're going to use a piston stop. However you do it, I'm sure some guys probably make something you could knock out the center of a glow plug probably and put a screw in it and then use it in here. It'd be a whole lot better than the way I do it, but I don't do stuff the easy way. It's just no fun. I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to put a head on it. Roll the piston down a little bit so I can get the head on. This head's all detonated up, so it probably won't want to go in. There we go. We'll get and if I was on the ball, I would have had the screws ready, but I know I got some here. Hang on. 3 is all we need. And we're going to just kind of snug 3 of them just to hold the head in place. Again, if you had a super dandy doohickey, you could just thread right in there. You wouldn't have to even be pulling the water jacket off or nothing. Just screw it in there and you got your piston stop and away you go. Someday I'll do that. But every time I go to do this, I want to get it done and I don't want to waste my time making cool special tools. So we're just going to kind of snug this. If you want to take a minute and go get your inch-pound torque wrench so you can torque these super precisely. it won't make any difference at all, but it'll make you feel really good. Okay, so we tighten that down. Now we got a washer in there, so I can't turn this thing. It's gonna hit. And I'm gonna go the other way, and it hits. Okay, but it's a fixed position, whether I go counterclockwise or clockwise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it and see where it hits, degrees-wise, in relation to 0. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 degrees away from 0. And then I'm gonna rotate it the other direction and see where it hits. So I can already see I'm gonna be a mile off. But if I go this way, it hits. I got a finger kind of holding the drum in place. And there's my 0. So I'm 10, 20, 30, 40 some degrees away from 0, all right? So 40 before top dead center, about 43, 44. I'm gonna go the other direction till it hits. Okay, it hit. There's my 0. And I'm only like 5 degrees away. So top dead center is dead nuts between those 2 points. No, it hit somewhere over here before in here. So top dead center is actually right about here. So this guy here has to get turned a whole bunch of, right? I don't know if you're following that or not. I'm going to turn it till it hits. History tells me that I need to be somewhere around 20 before the 0, 10, 20. I'm going to snug this guy just a little bit. Sorry. See, I'm off the screen, but you got to take what you can get. This, I got my, you ought to see it. I got my cell phone clamped in one clamp, and the other clamps in another clamp, and it's shoved in the top drawer of my desk. Just barely sitting there. Okay, I'm going to turn it till it hits. Can you hear it? Hitting. Bam, right there. All right, I got 10, almost exactly 20. Can you see that? A little bit heavy on the 20. Okay, but we're going to call that 20 right now for just what we're doing here. So this way it hits 20 before top dead center, or 20 before the 0, and we don't know for a fact that's the right mark yet. We're going to go the other way till it hits. Okay, it's hitting there. There's my 0. I got 10, 20. Oh, it's coming up on 30. I'm going to say that's about 27. So we're pretty close, but we're 20 on one side, 27 on the other, so top dead is somewhere a little off of the 0. So we're going to move it just a little bit. This is the tricky part, trying to get the wheel to move only a tiny bit. I hope I got it loose enough. It won't move. I got to loosen this. Hope like heck it doesn't go too far. So I need to be somewhere around 23 or 24. I think I got it about 24. Now you can drive yourself crazy all day doing this, but that's what I like about this long flexible aluminum dude. We're going to bend that to get our last couple degrees until we're right on the money, okay? So I'm going to rotate this way. Doesn't matter which way we start. Hitting that washer. Now there's my 0. I am 10, 20, just about, it's hard to get this angled right. You can see that's the 25 mark, and there's the 30. So it's almost 24. I'm going to call it, well, just a light 24, okay? Now we're going to go the other way. It's hitting right there. There's my 0. We're going to count 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's a heavy 24. Hard to see in there. I'm cheating. I'm looking around the screen now to see it because it's really hard. So I got light 24 on one side, heavy 24 on the other. I'm going to be able to bend this just a tiny bit, and I'll bet if I get right on 24, I'm spot on 24 there. Can you see it? 10, 24. The other way. These bearings are rough. I can feel them. And it hit there. Oh, I'm a light 24. I'm gonna bend just a tiny bit. Try to. Okay, 24. Where's the 24? 24. It's hard to see for you. Okay, so it hits 24 going one way, 24 going the other way. So I know that that guy is dead center between the two 24s. So now I know I got my top dead center just right. Okay, does that make sense? I know that this here, when that lines up with that 0, I am at top dead center. Okay. This is great just making a video because you can't ask questions as we go. I'm just going to assume you got it. Those were all exactly 21 inch-pounds, I could tell. Okay, I hope this comes off. Yeah, buddy. There's our washer. It's going to kind of glue itself to that piston via some oil. What are you going to do? Come on, buddy. I thought that was going to work. Hold on. All right. Now, we saw the liner move, so we got to be careful that liner doesn't jump out. I kind of liked your idea. You were talking about putting a washer on here and sticking one nut on there, and you can do that if you want, but you know what? I can hold that down. It ain't going nowhere unless I roll it to the top. It'll lift up and down, but I don't care. We're not working with the top, at least not right now. Oh, did I put a drum in? Okay, it's got a drum in. I'll show you how you're going to check your drum timing too. So you're not going to like this because you're a guy that thinks you got to, boy oh boy, there has to be some precision way to do it. There's not. At least not the way I do it. I'll show you a way that you can do it and measure it each time if you want. It's going to be really difficult for you to see on the camera. But you can see easily when that port opens and closes. At least I can. And if you open your own motor and you go in there and look at it, and I'm sure you've done it, you can see that exact moment, and you'd be surprised. You'll see it within 1 degree. Guaranteed. I'm going to go to this side. I'm trying to find one that you can see. Yeesh, hard to see. Oh, you can kind of see the exhaust there. But what you can't do is I can move it right to the moment that exhaust port's opening. And it's going to move now. It's easy to do this when you're doing it yourself. But you will see that exact moment that thing opens and you read your timing right then. Okay? And if that bothers you, and if you feel, I mean, you can turn away from it and go back and find your open point, and you will find you've got the exact same timing spot. It's really, once you do it a few times, you can really get the hang of it, and you'll see the moment that baby slivers open, and you will see your mark here, okay? So it's really easy and intuitive once you do it. So you're going to check your exhaust timing and your transfers the exact same way. Much of the time, I don't know, they got a fancy name for the rear port, but the rear port, front port, whatever you want to call it, usually opens just a sliver before the side ones. I think they probably do that on purpose just to get the gas moving towards the exhaust. You know, you're shooting in the backside here and driving everything out. So I mean, it makes some sense, but it's weird. Some of them I see them with that timing just exactly dead nuts with all the transfers, and some of them times it opens slightly earlier, but doesn't matter. Pick whatever you want. Check it. I check it by the side transfers. Oh, I don't know if you can see. This is one of my ones with the groovy little extra port. Can you see that guy in there? I do a finger port on some of my liners. That guy right there. Boy, it's scary because the walls are really thin between the regular side transfer port and then the exhaust port on each side of that extra little finger port. But it's a sexy little guy. I don't know why I haven't done that in a long time. I may try running this liner again. It's been a while. You can see it on that side there. So this was 7 port before 7 port was sexy. Or anyhow, okay, that's how you're going to check that. If you want, you know I'm a fan of wire. This 15 thousandths wire, I use it to check my head clearance. Stick it in the head button. It goes right to the edge. And then I rotate, and I want to feel that just barely pinch as that piston comes across the top. And I use it on the front and the rear, in line with the wrist pin, piston pin. So I know that my head is square, not cattywampus. You'd be surprised. I've seen some of them where you check it on one side and it's 15, and the other side you can't turn the motor over because it's tighter. But this is one way that you can use. It doesn't give you an exact reading because it's taking up room, of course. But you can put this guy in the port, and then it's very, very clear. Piston hits it, and you're done. And that's a neat way to give yourself a reference. Now, okay, now I've hit it. I know it's the exact right spot, and I can check my timing. And then that's a reference point. I can go right back to that same spot. But since we're talking about the wire, that's what I use to check the drum. Because the drum is a little bit trickier to see looking inside. You know, since we're looking through a camera, or phone that is, it's almost impossible to see. But the wire is really, really handy. You stick it up inside, and you start turning it until you've pinched that wire in that drum port. And then you take your reading there. You can see how far away from the 0 point we are. And you do it on your open and your close. Let me see, we just still got the wire in there, and we just pinched it on the other side. And you take your reading there. So nothing to it. I guess what that means is I don't know exactly what the cutout timing is on the drum, because I'm taking up, you know, maybe 1 degree with this guy. It's really very, very little. But it's my reference point. I can check them all that way. I know what I've got, and I can check what works and what doesn't. And you'd be surprised, CMB's nuts on these things. You'll get them all over the place. I think it's a certain matter of you know, tolerance on these housings, and then they've changed this drum many, many times. But that's it. I hope that made some sense. Simple piston stop, however you do it. I don't care if you stick something in the hole here. It just needs to be very positive, not wiggle, not move, not loosen. And just that's what I like about sticking a washer in there. You know, it's solid as can be. Bam, it hits, it pinches, it's not going anywhere. It's 100% repeatable. Stop one side, turn it, stop on the other side. Dead center between them is your 0. Toy with it till you get it close. Bend until you get that last degree or 2, and you're good to go. Okay? All right. Send your questions. I will have my phone off so I don't have to answer them. All right? Later.